Hey folks, welcome to the Retro Barber. Today I want to answer the question, should I become a barber? We can start with basically what is a barber? A barber, I heard a quote that says a barber is somebody who takes care of the people. And, you know, it's a customer service business and you deal with a lot of people, a lot of conversations, and you know, that's one thing to look at as you think about, you know, getting your hands dirty and learning how to cut hair and learning how to navigate the business atmosphere and what it takes to take care of the customer from start to finish. So before we answer that question, should I become a barber or should you become a barber, I want to just talk from my experience, which goes back to basically officially 2003 when I graduated high school and after. But if you want to back up a couple years, I kind of dabbled and was kind of self-taught really starting in some part of 1999 as a 14-year-old and been doing it all these years. So just to give you a little backstory of how I became a barber, basically grew up in a single parent home. I had a younger brother, 2 years younger, and a sister who was another couple years younger than myself. And, you know, we didn't have a lot growing up, but we had everything we needed. So thankful for that. But I remember, I guess I was around that 14-year-old, 15-year-old age, and I just kind of became more interested in what my hair looked like and hairstyles and learning what, you know, the different trends of that time. And around those few years back then, I used to take a lot of trips to Puerto Rico, and in the Puerto Rico culture, you know, everybody got a haircut every single week. Everybody looked fresh all the time, almost like they got a haircut that very day. So, you know, nobody walked around looking stank. Everybody had a clean haircut. Everybody had super crisp eyebrows. And everybody was always dressed up super nice, like they were going somewhere, but they weren't going anywhere. They're just hanging out in the neighborhood. And I remember those being very, very fun and awesome years as a teenager when I would spend summers and Christmas breaks down there with my dad. So that kind of got the interest going, the interest sparked, and got the creative juices flowing. So spending those years, you know, for a handful of years, going every summer and every Christmas. And by the way, we would stay there so long that we would come back to South Florida where I lived with my mom, and we would start school late because we would stay there so long. But going back to the point, I kind of got spoiled. My dad would take us when we would spend those summers and Christmases there to the barbershops, and in my humble opinion, is some of the best barbers I've ever seen. Looking back, now that I cut hair myself, but it was some of the best haircuts I ever seen. Some of the best experiences I ever had, and I remember coming out of there feeling fresh, feeling good, feeling confident. And during those years, I started paying attention on how the barbers would, you know, cut the hair and the different steps that they would take to get to the finished product. So that really sparked my interest. And, you know, like I said, as you get into those high school years, you kind of care a little bit more what you look like and what you smell like and how you present yourself. So, you know, I figured at some point I would start dabbling myself. And that kind of started the process of, you know, being self-taught or self-teaching, however you want to word that. I know my mom had a pair of clippers, and that's a whole different story. She used to buzz our hair and stuff when we were a lot younger, and we got pictures of that, and she put lines in our hair and stuff. But I remember we had a set of clippers at the house under the sink in the bathroom. And like I said, my brother is 2 years younger than I am, and so I just got the idea one day, going back to what I said earlier, that, you know, we didn't have everything we wanted, but we had everything we needed. So I got the bright idea of, you know, let me get a piece of paper and let me make a list of all our cousins and all the people we know, and And if I could just figure out a way to cut their hair for $5 each, I could buy this video game that I really, really wanted at the time. And that, for those of you who play video games, the game was Tekken 3. Tekken 3 for PlayStation 1. All right, one of the best games ever. So I thought, but we're all the way at Tekken 8 now. So, but anyway, so I made this list, and I was trying to figure out, if I can do X amount of haircuts, I could buy this game. It really wasn't an option for Mom to buy it because we were scraping by, but like I said, we had what we needed. So I knew that at that early age, if you want something in life, you're gonna have to figure it out and get it for yourself. You're gonna have to figure out how to be creative and make a way where there's not a way, right? So that was kind of my thinking. So I got these clippers. They weren't the best clippers, but they worked. So taking these trips into account, like I said, we used to go to Puerto Rico a lot, and we lived in South Florida. South Florida also had many barbershops, lots of different barbershops, black barbershops, Spanish barbershops, you name it. You're gonna get a good cut no matter what. So I remember my uncle, they used to take us to I think it was called the USA Flea Market. It was in Northwest Miami, Florida. And they had there's a bunch of stuff. They sold clothes, they sold stereos, electronics, and they had like barbers everywhere, all out in the open, and very competitive place. And I remember getting one of my first fades there, super bald fade, with a clean edge up. Now, for those of you who do cut hair, maybe you stumbled on this video, in South Florida, they call the edge up a tape. And I was, those early years, I'm learning these terms, edge up, tape. And I remember getting a haircut. I was like, wow, this is really good. So comparing that to the South Florida haircuts and the Puerto Rico haircuts, I started dabbling and trying to figure out how to do it on my brother's hair. And he was a guinea pig for a while, but so I cut his hair. Wasn't the best thing ever, but I started learning, started trying to figure out, how to blend the hair and how to get the haircut going. And I actually did start cutting some of the neighborhood kids close to grandma's house. And I remember at that time, I wanted to give everybody a cut. I started thinking like a barber, even though I wasn't a barber. I was just trying to figure it out. And I would see people like, man, let me line you up. Let me line up your hairline. I was an edge up maniac. I wanted to give everybody an edge up and have them looking fresh. So let me fix my camera here. So anyway, so that kind of started the process, and I ended up getting decent. Even though I was self-taught, and little by little started getting better and better and better. And I ended up doing it all through high school as like a side gig. And even though I went to school full time and had a part-time job and did wrestling and soccer and stuff like that, I had a decent little side hustle. $5 haircuts, front porch, kitchen cuts, come to your house, and got it going little by little like that. And really in those high school years, I actually got pretty decent. So we're in the high school years, and I guess during that time, maybe junior year, getting close to senior year, people starting to talk about college and what they're going to do after high school. And I remember making the decision that, I think I'm going to pursue a barber license. And I remember making that decision and being very confident in it. Now, just a sidestep here. I remember having a doctor's appointment around that time span, and the doctor asked me, so what are you going to do? What are you going to do after high school? And I said, I'm going to get my barber's license. And he says, kind of with a frown upon, kind of with a frowning upon me look, said, no, man, forget that. Go to college and get a real job. Well, he said it with a heavy accent. I'm like, okay. All right, well, we'll see. And so I didn't take that advice at all. Nothing was going to stop me, thankfully. Pretty good at motivating myself, so that didn't phase me at all. I was gonna go forward no matter what. So I ended up doing that. Graduated high school, 2003, and went straight to barber school. I found a barber school about an hour away from my house and signed up. I can go into details later, but basically, I went all in. So I went to pursue this license. It was 1,500 hours, right? And if you go full time, you can knock it out in 9 or 10 months. So that's what I did. I started, I hit the ground running. The school, they offered student haircuts at $4. So the general public would come in knowing that they were going to get a cheap student haircut. But believe it or not, there were really picky people who came in and wanted that cheap cut, but they wanted a $30, $40 service for $4. So let's just say it gave me a lot of practice to really get my skills honed in, and I hit the ground running. The instructors let me go ahead and get on the floor and get a ton of hands-on training, which really helped me a lot. And I also got to kind of learn some other skills that I didn't have already, like some shear work, thinning shears, and using the straight razor a little bit more while I got those hours. And so it really took off, and I went all in and went full time and was able to achieve that within that 9 or 10 month time frame. And by the time I was 19 years old, I was in a real barbershop working as a master barber, licensed and ready to go. So that being said, I'm a huge believer in hands-on training. Nowadays, they've kind of changed it up. Depending on what state you live in, you can sign up at a school and they will allow you to get your hours at a barbershop, and you can be an apprentice and you can work under a master barber who's been licensed for X amount of years, depending on where you live, and you can get hands-on training. So, going back to the question, should you be a barber? Well, I would say absolutely. If you're one of those guys or gals, whatever, if you're highly interested in keeping your own hair looking good and being really that picky customer, it seems to be those people for the most part who want to dabble in the industry and maybe learn how to do it. I would say go for it. Do your research, see what your state requires, and see if there's any decent schools. Well, barber schools, that's a whole different video. We'll talk about that in a different video. But, do your research, see what your options are, and see if there's a couple of options as far as locally owned shops where the owners would be willing to train you, would be willing to have an apprentice. It just all depends on those variables. But regardless, don't let anybody discourage you if you're interested in becoming a barber. There's so many different niche things, especially nowadays, that you could do to kind of set yourself apart. And you can build a clientele. You can work at a really good shop, and that already has clientele coming in. And little by little, you'll be able to kind of figure out where you fit in, figure out what kind of customers you attract, and you can go from there. You can open up your own barbershop. That's something else we could talk about in a separate video. But going back to how I became a barber is I just jumped in there. And started dabbling. Those friends and family who took a risk on getting jacked up, they let me cut their hair. They gave me a shot, and I had that opportunity to get that hands-on learning and pretty much self-taught. I will say once I got the license, and even including school a little bit, the fellow students and the fellow barbers, after I was already working in a barbershop, I was able to pick up a lot of techniques from them as well. So, always have an open mind, be willing to learn from other people who've already done it. Ask questions. And honestly, my technique today is a big hodgepodge, mix of what I saw in those early days, going to Puerto Rico and then, dabbling in South Florida as a teenager, and then moving to Tennessee after my time in Florida, and just kind of being able to get my hands on all kinds of different hair types, coarse hair, curly hair, long hair, short hair, dark hair, thick hair, thin hair, you name it. It really helped me get a lot of experience under my belt. So by the time, by the time I got through school and got that 1 year of working in the barbershop, I pretty much got to sharpen up all of my skills. And you never stop learning. You keep adding to your arsenal. You keep picking up little tips and tricks from your coworkers or friends or when I came up, YouTube didn't exist. So you couldn't really watch videos on cutting hair. So I had to learn the old school way, and just kind of getting your hands in there, get your hands dirty, and trial and error, making mistakes, making adjustments. Yeah, so hopefully, on this channel, we will kind of get our hands on some haircuts, some different things. We'll also do some fun stuff, So I'm hoping to get on here and hopefully inspire some of you guys out there who are maybe thinking about getting into business, entrepreneurship. It doesn't have to be barbering. It doesn't have to be hairstyling. It could be other things. I'm a big believer in trades, working with your hands, working with your mind, and being able to solve problems, whether it's being an electrician, being a plumber, being a HVAC person, being a cook, whatever. There's so many things out there that you don't necessarily have to, get a degree for, but you can go to what I call this to the point school, right? I've been saying that for years. To the point school is, hey, I think I want to cut hair. Let me go to barber school, or I want to be a stylist. Let me go to cosmetology school. I want to be an electrician. Let me go to the, see if I can apprentice under somebody who's already an electrician, or let me go to the plumber. Speaking of plumbers, I hear there's a shortage of plumbers, new plumbers coming up. And even within all of these different trades, barbering included, there's subcategories, there's niches that you can carve out. You can get really good at what you do, and you could just focus on that. So for example, right now, at my barbershop, it's a family shop, of course. I think the way we've been able to adjust over the years, and I'll talk more about this in a different video, is just focusing on the basics, but do the basics really good. You don't have to be a superstar. You don't have to be the best. You don't have to be that. You don't have to be the one that has the biggest clientele. If you can just do the basics and do it consistently and do it well, you'll be busy. You'll be successful. Consistency is the key. So I'm a big believer in that, is treat people good, have a good conversation, be relatable, have a laugh, don't take it too seriously, but take care of the customer. That quote, I forgot where I saw it, but it says, being a barber is about taking care of the people. And that can translate to any field. Like I said, you could be a painter, you could be a contractor, you can be whatever. And I'm speaking specifically in the trades because that's kind of more my area, but it can translate to anything that you do. If you just take care of the people, you take care of the customer, you're consistent, you will be successful. You don't have to be the best. You just have to be good at the basics. So that's how I became a barber. And if you're interested in pursuing a trade or being a barber, go for it. And, years ago, somebody asked me if if they were too old to pursue it. And I made a mistake of saying, because I was young and prideful and stupid. And I said, yeah, man, I think if you're already this age, nah, you can't pursue it. You can't do it. So, I would go back in time and slap myself for saying that and be like, no, don't listen to this fool. You go for it. It doesn't matter how old you are. If you're interested, like let's say, for example, you retired from a career and you want to do something else. Well, give it a try. It doesn't hurt to try. So go for it, guys. Hope that made sense, and I hope that this video would help somebody. And as we go forward, I'll go into more details about some of the specifics on this stuff, but that's just kind of a general overview of, how I became a barber, and should you become a barber. We'll talk more about this in the next video.